the delay. Let me start. So hello, everybody. My name is Aoran. And this summer, I've been conducting research on extracting key features from EEG data to assess the attention levels of students. My research is going to be structured around these four categories. First, I'm going to introduce my purpose. Then I'm going to outline my procedure of the research. I'm going to present the preliminary results of the research I have. And then I'm going to present with close with the impact as well as the further steps I'm going to take. First, my research is a bit of a combination between engineering education and data analytics. As we all know, in engineering education, attention is the key for learning experience. And how do we assess attention? With the development of neuroscience technologies, EEG, electroencephalograph data, has becoming more and more popular for researchers to use to assess the student attention as well as other types of brain activities because they non-invasively reflect the brain activity of patients and participants. And the EEG data can be obtained using this 1020 international system with 8 electrodes placements. So the 10 and 20% originates from the 10 and 20% between adjacent electrodes around the scalp of the patient, and an illustration can be shown here. So my research addressed the gap in the previously existing research that there are diverging results showing emphasizing on different features, classifying between attention and inattention because of different experimental designs. So my research can be divided into these 4 basic steps: collecting baseline data, preprocessing the EEG data, extracting features from the data, and predicting and validating from the data. First, I have developed 2 sets of baseline activities: purely focused and purely unfocused. There are 4 types of attention: sustained attention, alternating attention, divided attention, and selective attention. While sustained attention is the type of attention we want to focus on because there's been research shown that is strongly correlated with what we do when we are paying attention in class. And the 4 types of baseline activities I've developed from there are focused meditation, mental map, which involves simple addition and simple subtraction, Sudoku, as well as watching educational short YouTube videos. The other 2 types of attention are opposing the sustained attention, and they are alternating attention and divided attention. And I've developed the multitasking baseline activity to reflect that. Selective attention isn't being particularly studied in this research. So I've developed an EEG preprocessing pipeline using EEG Lab. So first is to import the raw data, import the channel locations. In this case, we're using an off-the-shelf student-designed EEG headset of 8 electrodes. Then we apply the bandpass filter, channel selection, as well as rejecting EEG noise and human artifact using the ASR from EEG Lab. Some of the human artifacts include eye blinking and hand moving, and the noise can originate from the electro disturbance. And this figure shown here is a picture illustrating how we eliminate those artifacts in the EEG data. So the next step is extracting EEG features. As we know, there are different brainwave features, mainly originating from the different bands of the frequencies. There are delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. And there are band frequencies, corresponding band frequencies are shown here. So how do we extract these features? Firstly, let me introduce the 5 main features I'm extracting. There are the 5 corresponding alpha, beta, theta, gamma, and delta energies, as well as the ratio from alpha to beta energy, as well as the alpha voltage and beta voltage. So the method that I extract this is by using the fast Fourier transform and computing the power density spectrum here. And by integrating across the frequency bands, we can get the corresponding band energies. And here is an illustration of the code that I used to extract these features. Next step is prediction. So analyzing on the baseline activity data we've collected. So after putting the data into the preprocessing outline, my code will output the feature vectors across time for each activity. I'll remove the first and last 30 seconds of the baseline activity because they are usually prone to noise as the participants is putting on and off and adjusting the headset to get used to it. Then I segment the data into 4 different periods, and by that way I can get more data. Then I eliminate the outliers based on the quartile method. Then I perform different statistical analysis, mainly computing the mean and the range of the data so that I can get what the focused average and unfocused average are. And lastly, I'm going to validate my data using 5 educational YouTube videos across different categories, different STEM categories in that way. And validation, as we know, is try to get a sense of whether our prediction is correct. So we have to have the correct answer. So how do we get the correct answer? We do that by labeling data with 2 methods. First is video rewinding. So when the participant is watching the particular YouTube video, we ask them to record their physical expressions while watching the video and letting the participant themselves, giving them an opportunity to label their data as focused or unfocused during certain periods of time that we've assigned. I've also developed a set of post-test questions across different videos and across different times so that by judging on the correctness of the question, we get a sense of whether the participant is focused or not during specific periods of time. And here are 2 sample validation results that we get. Up here is the channel 3 and 4 validation for the ratio between alpha and beta energy. And the line down here shows the unfocused average, and the line up here shows the focused average. And this line is where we get the real-time recording of the EEG data across different times for this particular video. And as we can show here, predominantly for these periods of times, the participants, by this prediction, has lower focus level, and up there, the participants have higher focus level. And here's another graph showing the channel 1 and 2 for alpha validation. The line down here is for focused average. The line up here is for unfocused average across these times. Here I'm going to show some of my preliminary results. So across the 8 main features that we've extracted, by analyzing them statistically, by eliminating outliers and getting the focused and focused average, we've concluded that there has been a significantly high alpha to beta energy ratio for focused activity than unfocused activity. That corresponds to a high alpha energy and a low beta energy. And here are 4 graphs that compare the ratio between alpha energy and beta energy across different focused activity versus the unfocused activity. And as we can see here, except for the mental math, all the other 2 types of focused activities have a significantly high level of RAB, the ratio between alpha and beta, while the other band energies, such as theta energy, proves to be insignificant as they provide indistinguishable results between focused activities and unfocused activities. So the impact of this research is on engineering education and understanding the attention. As we know, with the pandemic hitting us, we've been transitioning more and more into online learning. And with the increasing popularity and the necessity of online learning, it is vital for educators and instructors to understand the attention for their students. And my research, the result of this research after these further steps, could be developed into some sort of a GUI so that we can better understand whether the students or groups of students are focused during specific periods of time. And that way, the educator is able to determine whether their educational activities are effective or not. It'll also help research understand the essence of attention. And I'll address the limitations of my research as well. So this research is really preliminary so far. We've only have a really limited number of participants with a really small data set. And in the short term, I'm going to conduct the validation data collection and analysis, as well as extracting more features such as the approximate entropy, standard deviation, as well as the head position based on previous literature. So in the long run, I'm going to collect more baseline data with ethics approval from my department. I'm also planning to conduct machine learning algorithms such as a support vector machine to better classify. And lastly, as I mentioned, to develop a GUI for the video tagging platform to apply my results. And lastly, I really want to acknowledge this research project is supervised by Professor Scott Ramsey and Crystal Liu at the Department of Material Science and Engineering. It is also generously funded by the Division of Engineering Science and Professor Ramsey. Thank you so much for making this project possible. Thank you so much for listening, and here's my reference.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Jiao, so questions, yes, from the judges? Yeah, this is very interesting to me as an engineering educator. And in the research that you're doing, have you found any things that educators might be able to use right away in terms of increasing sustained attention in the classroom?
Definitely. I think my research firstly addresses on the question of how to determine whether you are focused or not during periods of time. And I think that's vital because instructors or lecturers, they tend to focus on different activities, for example, synchronous activities versus asynchronous, especially when we're moving with this pandemic, demonstrations versus labs, hands-on versus so active learning versus passive learning. And hopefully my research with the findings I've got, hopefully there will be further understanding on how to determine whether groups of students are focused or not during periods of time, so that the educators have better feedback in that term of the effectiveness of their teaching. And I think that is mainly what my research is hoping to address.
Okay, good, thank you.
And thank you, Professor Tomlin, for your question.
Yeah, I'm also curious that because this is a target for engineering education, all the sources that you've been giving to your test subject, I understand that right now it's just a small. Are those very just a general STEM type of test, or this is a target for some specific engineering education related?
I think by engineering education, I think definitely you've raised a really good point. And I think the engineering education part of my research reflects in the 20 YouTube videos that I've selected. So as I've mentioned, they come from 5 different categories of STEM. So they originate from biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, computer programming, and those 5 different categories are being viewed by STEM participants. So the participants comes from actually the Division of Engineering Science. And we hopefully to address to try to assess the attention from these STEM students.
Okay, thank you.
And also from the baseline activities, mainly for example, they are solving math, so Sudoku. So this is problem solving in math, as well as simple addition and subtraction. So there is a slight emphasis on the STEM side of the students, rather than conducting other activities such as linguistics or artistic studies.
Okay. Well, you're invited to observe my September online lectures to see how quickly I lose the students.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that is an honor, it would be. And definitely, I believe my algorithm will classify your lecture as engaging.
I don't know about that, but thank you for
Thank you so much, Mr. Gu, for your question.
Okay, thank you, judges.